Welcome back, everyone, to the glorious Republic of Swordland, where after last episode's animation, uh, rousiness, general unstillness, let whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean, we are going to have some downtime at home. That sounds nice. It felt like an eternity since the Banffy Festival. Had it really only been less than 24 hours? I was at home now, drinking an afternoon coffee on my balcony. A stack of newspapers lay by my side. I picked them up one by one, reading and rereading the articles about the festival. Some of the papers came out in full support of the First Lady for her brave speech, others took Curtin's side. Nearly all of them agreed that the First Lady had acquitted herself very well following the interruption. I was putting the last newspaper down as Monica joined me on the balcony. Listen, can we talk for a bit? Of course. What is it? Monica sat and picked up the nearest newspaper. She pointed to a particularly insulting headline on the front page. Never in a million years would I have wished for this, Anton. Just wanted to thank you for supporting me and apologize for creating such a spectacle. All I wanted was to bring the people of Sorland together the way you were able to, but not like this. Her eyes were getting moist, a single tear fell onto the newsprint. Just, yeah, wipe her tear away. Oh, Anton. Her eyes. I leaned forward and wiped her tears from her eyes. She clasped my hand to her face. Her eyes filled with gratitude. I could see she'd slept as little as I had since the festival. Thank you. One more thing. You know how stubborn I am. When I gave that speech, I saw hope in the eyes of all the women in the audience. This is the right path for me, Anton. I want to officially adopt this cause as First Lady, to actually get involved in politics, not just give an impromptu speeches. I could even help your education minister with those reforms she's working on. I know this is something you're passionate about as well. Can I count on you? Of course. I'm looking forward to working closer together. Oh, Anton, this means so much to me. Monica hugged me tightly, and I felt some of the past day's tension melt away. Thank you. Noise came from the balcony door. We both turned our heads to see Diana standing there. Mama, I'm hungry. Let's go to the kitchen, baby. We'll make Papa the best snack ever. Yeah. They left the balcony and returned half an hour later with a large cookie. Diana had written my name on icing on it. In half an hour? Impressive. As I slipped my coffee and nibbled the cookie, I thought that I had made the right choice. Things were going to get harder, but at least my life at home was somewhat peaceful. Yeah, that's all most of us can hope for, really. Preliminary economic status. Recession is deepening. Occasion access. Okay, budget allocation of Swordish armed forces. To determine the current situation of the military and its spending policy, we held a meeting in the White Room. Pedder, Vulcan, and Yosef were seated. General Vulcan, Mr. Lancia, let's start with the briefing. Very well, Mr. Vice President. We have prepared a briefing to convey further details about the current situation of our military. First off, we have received an updated communication from the Arcasian Military Command. Their planes are being moved into Ellery Air Base as we speak. Under our supervision, of course. Okay, sure, do your best to make... Now let's... this is probably gonna... He's gonna interpret this as permission to be hostile. And that's not what I want. Do your best to make them feel at home. Joseph and Vulcan looked at each other. We will try our best. Now let's move on to our military. Which branch would we like to know about? Situation about our army. According to the latest reports from Camp Strongarm, currently we field 6 armies, totaling up to approximately 400,000 active troops, which is a good amount. The real issue we are having is the quality, not quantity. And what's the current equipment status? Our army is quite outdated by today's military standards. Most of our equipment is 2 decades old. To make up for our lack of modern military equipment, we resort to a large number of soldiers, which is not really a long-term solution. I have been trying hard to reduce the negative effects of this problem. We don't need a modernization program. A standardized purchase of lacking equipment would do. We need more funding towards expanding the military size, otherwise our army will be seen as weak. And where exactly is the army deployed right now? First Army is situated at Lesbia and Velen borders to protect the way into the central regions of Swordland. The Second Army, our largest force, has been situated by the Rumburg border. Second Army has a large mountain commando force and is the most adequate equipped army to face Rumburg. The Third Army is near the Agnolian border and the coastal areas facing Valsland. Due to our bitter past, our coastal defense force is always on alert. The decimation of our fleet still is not forgotten. And how do we compare to other armies? Rumburg fields about 6 armies amounting to 1,000,000 soldiers. Lesbia fields 5 armies which amount to 800,000 soldiers. Valdsland fields 1 army of about 140,000 soldiers. Velen field an army amounting to 100,000 soldiers, and Agnolian fields 2 armies with a total of 200,000 soldiers. The sheer size of Rumburg's army is because of their forced conscription laws. They are able to afford such a large force due to their massive gold reserves, which significantly came from Risia over the past decades. On the other hand, the Lesbian army is the most advanced, followed by the Valslandian army. Both of these countries put lots of money in modernizing their military. Curious about another branch. Very well. Tell me about our navy. Our navy currently constitutes of 59 vessels, with a total of 60,000 sailors and support staff. As you know, these ships are commanded from our main naval base in Conriat, where our flagship SN Renan is docked. How does our navy compare to others? Our navy is dwarfed by the size of the Valslandian navy, which has 194 ships, and the Agnolian navy that has 81 ships. We only surpass Lesbia in terms of our navy, as they have less than 30 ships. As you see, the situation is dire, but the solution is not just more ships. To make a truly better navy, we need to equip our ships with modern radar and sonar systems. More outdated ships wouldn't mean much. Which seas do our navy currently patrol? We are patrolling the Markian Sea, the Grey Strait, and the Antacian Sea. Our navy protects all of our coastal regions. However, to make sure we are not thinning out our defenses, we prioritize certain regions over others, like Greater Holsort. We often patrol the routes that are close to the shipping lanes, especially Markian Sea and Grey Strait. The amount of cargo that goes through that area is eye-opening. Another thing to note is after the takeover of Helliland, where our navy has led incursion operations to protect Agnolia, we also take part in some joint navy drills as well. Okay, so let's hear about the other branches, just the Air Force at this point. Which one? I mean, unless we've started a Swordfish Space Force that I'm not aware of. Let's get some details on our Air Force. Our Air Force currently has 410 planes in the inventory, of which only 140 are jet planes that are not in great condition. 30,000 pilots and support staff work in the Air Force, and they are commanded from the Mark Air Force Base in Elroli. Erlori. Fucking name. What are our operational capabilities? Planes can bomb targets within 400-kilometer radius of their airfield. They have medium range and semi-effective nighttime bombing capabilities. At any time, we can field 7 air wings, composing a total of 130 aircraft that can operate in combat duty. This is enough to subdue most targets. In terms of our bombing capability, we have an average of 100 meters of precision. This is not great, but it's still within the effective radius of the bomb. How about pilot experience? Our pilots have average experience. They have a total of 450 hours flight time, with their craft before they are qualified. This gives them more than enough time to get used to it. This is low compared to 1,000 to 1,500 hours in other countries like Arcasia, United Contana, and Lesbia, and even Valsland. Normally, the hours per pilot should be higher, but due to lack of funding, we can't increase the training times. Fuel costs are rather high. Okay, uh, how does our Air Force work together with the other military branches? The Air Force is trained as an independent tactical support branch, which means it assists other branches but doesn't collaborate. This does cause some issues like friendly fire and missed close air support opportunities. There are two ways to improve collaboration: Joint Operations Room, something to think about, Shirley. I'd like to know more about the other branches. Uh, nope, there's no other branch to know about, so let's move on. He cleared his throat. The Ministry of Defense is content with the additional funds. Hopefully, the allocated money helps our defense needs. Uh, okay. The increase in military budgets is it's for national security, which is threatened by Rumburg and other nations. Rightfully so. We are surrounded by jackals, and as our intelligence and general staff indicates, our enemies are both outside and inside the country. We will do all that is necessary to protect the soil. Should we move on to the spending choice? Very well. The increase of the military budget leaves us with big questions about how to utilize it. There was a lot of debate at the ministry, which resulted in two factions of thought. The first faction is in favor of enlarging the armed forces by enlisting more men, while the second faction is in favor of purchasing better military equipment instead. No, I just modernizing is the smart move. The general, I have already settled on the decision. The generals were waiting for the word. I hope the decision is in the interest of all. Yeah, purchase the better equipment and begin a modernization program. As you wish, but the decision will be negative for our old doctrine. Maybe the old doctrine isn't the best? Glad we made the right choice on this. I'll make necessary arrangements. Yosef and Vulcan looked at each other. That'll be all for today then. Good work, everyone. I'd like to extend my thanks for your attendance. The meeting concluded as the sun set over the concrete jungle that was Holsword. A adequately equipped military. Experienced generals. Death of former Black Battalion Brigadier General. Protest against Governor Braun's security policies. Ato embraces the new paradigm, PMCs legitimized. Ah yes, mercenaries, just what we needed. Stagnation marks Grooney's regional growth. Young sword militants arrested, good. A3 highway nears completion, fucking great. Awesome, amazing. Please finish it soon. Downsizing announcement at Narbul's Gazom branch. Downsizing. You fucking cunt. The fucking... The fucking bastard. Sure. Formation of a new police force. Feldreiser arrived for a meeting to discuss the new police force. After Livy informed us of his arrival, Lucian opened the door and let him in. Hello, Mr. President, Mr. Galad. What a sunny day, isn't it? The weather outside was beautiful indeed. Clear sky and sunshine made the scenery look lively. I could even hear the sounds of birds chirping from the palace garden. You're right. I need to go out more often nowadays. Good idea, and when you do, the Presidential Guard will be there to protect you, as always. Please have a seat. We don't want you to feel uncomfortable. He didn't sit down and walked a few steps towards the wall where President Alfonso's portrait was hanging. I've been used to being uncomfortable my whole life. I too came from a poor family, Mr. President. Yeah, people like us know the additional steps that need to be climbed to get anywhere in life. I used to work 15 hours a day to bring food back to my sisters. My entire life was was been a struggle. Until I signed up to be a volunteer in the Arvali police force. They gave me a scholarship to attend the police academy, an opportunity I wouldn't have been able to have if I didn't work diligently. That allowed me to enter the Arvali police force as a patrolman and to meet Miss Graff, who opened several doors that led me to better places. So, are you very close? Uh, yeah, hard. Look, let's not imply anything. Hardworking and loyal people are hard to come by. I need people like you. My loyalties lie with you, Mr. President, no one else. He took a seat and corrected his posture. I've been informed of the establishment of the anti-corruption police under the Ministry of Justice. Indeed so, Minister Morgna has given me full authority to lead the new force. Yeah, his loyalty to Lilias might be a problem. Must make a note of that. He's given me the full authority to lead a new force in order to fight corruption from within. Yeah, it's a very powerful force, one that didn't exist in Sorland before. The structure being separated from the interior helps maintain perspective and independence from previous hierarchies. I want to make it absolutely clear my belief in you as leader is unquestionable. Minister Morgna, though not as inspiring as you are, has also shown great capability. The more I work with her, the more I am convinced that she is a very motivated and efficient administrator. Um, she takes her works personally. Her motivation to fight corruption are real. Thanks to the resource diversion to her ministry, those objectives can now be met. Justice will indeed be served. Carl leaned closer and lowered his voice ever so slightly. There are elements within our state that have ulterior motives. Elaborate, please. May I speak frankly, sir? Of course. There are some very powerful deep state forces inside the administration. Yeah, I know that. Our investigation have just begun, but certain links we have discovered are troubling. Mr. Hawker has financial and other ties to certain figures. He is a dangerous man. Currently, we are collecting evidence to find out exactly what his network comprises. Well, I suspected the existence of such a deep state. The real question here is who in the government and cabinet is on Mr. Hawker's side? Find out who has ulterior motives. We need to find out who has ulterior motives and root them out of the administration. I couldn't agree more. Anyone who corrupts our system and creates a parallel organization is a threat to Sorland. The most important subject here is the old guard establishment. They pose a direct threat to us. Okay, this is supposed to be the anti-corruption police, not our secret police. Once enough evidence is gathered, we should be able to begin the corruption trials if we want to. Hawker, Heron, and their cronies in the Supreme Court won't be able to be prosecuted unless the Assembly agrees to our new constitution. It won't be possible to get them if we fail to pass the reforms, or we have low political support in the Assembly, but it's too early to tell. Besides them, there are other elements we are aware of. The oligarchs seem to have some people inside as well. We have received some unconfirmed reports about Mr. Tusk having bought people in the administration. And they seem to be evading taxes through bribery and exploiting the grey areas in our laws. Our investigators in Estord and Narvel have also found some suspicious financial activity from some of their corporations. If their tax returns were to be made public, it would help us track irregularities in their filings. Uh, yeah, bribery should be eradicated from the system. We'll do our best, sir. If it plagues us from all ends, but the oligarchs seem to have immense influence and money, they keep utilizing it. Marcel Colranti and HOS also have a strong presence in the media and many other industries. There are some patterns we observe that are unusual. It really seems like they have a powerful influence in the majority of the so called independent news organizations. They might not be so independent after all. Yeah, Marcel offered me a deal before and needs to be investigated. We certainly can. I wish we had proof of the incident. It would help in any case against him. Carl sighed. Last but not least is the opposition leader Franz Richter. We have received intelligence that he has connections to Arkaji. Upon further inquiries, we can't see anything illegal here besides a mismatch of information. The old guard must have pushed this forward. We shouldn't even consider moving on the reformist leader in our position. Uh, yeah, if there's nothing illegal, why even talk about this? Wanted to disclose all of the information that the ACP has. There, there are so many potential corruption cases here. Therefore, we need to pick a faction to focus on. We can't investigate everyone within the remainder of this term and come up with a thorough and compelling case. The most logical step would be to use the ACP to pressure either the oligarchs or the old guard. Where should we concentrate our anti-corruption efforts? Just got the achievement for forming the ACP. Um, go for the oligarchs. Yes, sir. We will focus our research and investigation on the oligarchs. Well, has been decided. That should conclude the meeting. I think right now they're in they're in the position to fuck with my future plans the most. I think. Good luck and good day and good luck, Mr. Grazer. Good day, sir. Carl and Lucian left the room. Well, hopefully we'll find something. Okay, trade talks with Agnolia. Sorlin one's flight from Holsor to Stalport took 3 hours but went very smoothly. We were about to touch down. David left his seat and came over while Simon was enjoying his newspaper. Looks like we're about to land, Mr. President. I looked outside. I could see a heliland, the island in between Valsland and Agnolia. So many conflicts over such a small piece of land, the island can barely sustain itself without outside help. Uh, I don't blame them, it's a very strategic position. Certainly, if you have Heliland, you control the whole Valgus channel. I suspect it will be one of the topics that Mr. Van Horten will bring up as a bargaining chip. We must be careful. Heliland might be under the control of Agnolia, but the international community has yet to recognize it. For a good reason, too. Nobody wants to make an enemy of Valgsland, especially because of the support of United Contan and the CSP. Yeah, we also don't want to do anything to injure our relationship with Valgsland. I agree, we should try our best to stick to the middle ground. Simon folded his newspaper, got up from his seat, and sat right next to us. Aside from the point of Heliland, we need to be careful with the additional requests. According to the deal that was negotiated so far, they want to sell us their steel for a higher price than they are requesting easier access to our agricultural market. In return, they are promising cash flow and investments, especially in the Agnoland region. It's not hard to guess why. Precisely, Agnolian immigrants in our Agland region make up a good chunk of the area's economy now. During the initial negotiations, they brought up the topic of immigration many times. The fact that we have relaxed our immigration laws will help tremendously. Let's see if we can shake hands on it. The pilot made an announcement that the descent had started. David and Simon went back to their seats. I took another look outside the window. I could see Stalport, the capital city of Agnolia. The large dockyards of the city and the canal Stal in Agnolian appeared closer at our descent. As our descent continued, Starport was certainly a fitting name. A couple of minutes later, we finally touched down. Plane parked, I took a final look out the window. The welcoming ceremony from Agnolia was waiting along the red carpet outside. After the guards made their way out, I exited the plane. Wave at the crowd. I waved at the crowd that gathered. There were many camera flashes. I started to make my way downstairs. Prime Minister Van Horten was nowhere in sight. Instead, I was greeted by the foreign minister. Not good. Not a good first step. I mean, you'd expect you'd receive foreign head of states personally. After handshakes and a couple of photos, I moved to the car where Serge was waiting to drive me to the office of Prime Minister. Good day, sir. I hope the flight was comfortable. Yes, it was. Thank you, Serge. I got the car and we made our way through the foreign streets. Our convoy was protected by Sordish and Agnolian guards in their vehicles. We got on the highway beside the port and saw dozens of dockyards and ships anchored. Some of the boats and machinery looked old. The city itself looked very grey and grim. The buildings had a touch of Romberg's famous monarchian architecture with its mixture of Sordish signature domes on the older ones. We were now on the main road to the offices of the Prime Minister. Looks like they are not happy to see you, sir. Serge pointed at the crowd that gathered on both sides of the street. It was a protest. They were shouting and yelling at our convoy. Some of them held signs written in Sordish. Sorlin must pay its debts to Agnolia. You know, I never knew Agnolians were so ungrateful. Not everyone sees a great leader like you every day. There have been so many issues in Sorlin, I don't know if I can call myself a great leader. Oh my god, it's trending upwards. Don't scare it. There has been so many issues in Sorlin, I don't know if I can call myself a great leader. Sir, humility is important, but not in this case. They are always scared of Sorlin's potential, and now they are afraid that the lion leads Sorlin. They are afraid of you. The convoy started slowing down. We have arrived, sir. The cart continued through the gates, while the security vehicles went the other way. We finally came to stop in front of the door. Serge left the car and opened the car door. I exited and began walking to the door where dozens of press and prime ministers and the Prime Minister were waiting for me. I saw the PM much more clearly as I neared the door. He was shorter than I thought. Mr. President, welcome to Agnolia and to the beautiful city of Stockport. Prime Minister. No, thank you for the welcome. It's great to be here. He reached out for a handshake. The press surrounding us had been waiting for this moment. Let's go for a hug. Shook Prime Minister's hands and went for a hug, which was received well by the Prime Minister. The press went wild and took more pictures. He gestured to the entrance of the 200-year-old Parliament building. This way, please. We entered and the press followed us inside. I would like to present to you with a gift, a sign of friendship between our countries. An assistant showed up immediately with a large glass case in her hands. It contained a single sheet of parchment inside. This here is one of the first treaties written between Swordland and Agnolia. May it mark the renewal of our friendship today as well. It's an amazing gift, thank you. Our photos were taken again. I gestured at one of my retainers who was holding our gift to the PM. No, this is Sordish steel. No, not great. Gift one of the original copies of the first Constitution of Sorland. An excellent copy. I've always wondered what one of the originals looked like. Thank you for this excellent gift. The cameras flashed once again. Let's go to my office. Follow me. I followed him and we entered the office of Prime Minister. With its minimalist wooden decor, the room was far more modest than I expected. We sat down. He leaned back and made himself comfortable. I'm thankful to be done with that ceremonies. Just about to say the same. I'm not fond of these either. Sort of the toughest parts of our job. He got up from his chair and moved over to the bar. There were many varieties of liquor. Would you like a drink, Mr. Rain? Sure, just some Agnolia vodka. You know your drink. He poured the drinks and gave mine to me before sitting down again. True gentleman, I can respect it about you. This is how we do things in Agnolia, Mr. Rain. I appreciate the kind words, but flattery around won't sway me this day. First of all, I would like to say that I have been watching your recent immigration policy changes. I am glad that you have decided to keep it relaxed. Immigrants are very important for beneficial economic development. We believe that very much in Agnolia. It's reassuring to see Sorland move in a more modern direction. Thank you. He took a sip from his vodka. So tell me, Mr. Rain, is Sorland a reliable trading partner to Agnolia? As long as Agnolia is a reliable trading partner, I can assure you we are. He paused for a moment. It was a good move to start building that highway. Overall, this will positively affect our trade. Well done, Mr. Rain. Thank you, you are very kind. Van Horten leaned back further in contemplation. So, what's it going to be? First of all, if we shake hands on it, this agreement is going to be extremely beneficial for both of us. You should be able to solve your recession in no time with the investment and money flow coming from us. This is, as you know, on top of the reduced tariffs for trade between our countries. Of course, in return, as discussed between my people and your people before, you will allow us privileged access to your agricultural market. You will be buying steel from us for a higher price, which is a small price to pay, really. That is the deal. What do you say, Mr. Rain? I accept. What's minus one? What's minus one to the budget when it's already minus 15? Excellent. Before we dive into the paperwork for the trade deal, I want to offer you another possibility. I would like to expand on our partnership. We have regional forces like Romberg that have been imposing danger on both our countries. I am of the mind that we must unite, so, by the powers bestowed upon me as the Prime Minister of Agnolia, I am offering a military alliance between Sorlin and Agnolia. What do you think? Sure, let's accept. It's gonna fuck us on Val's land, though. But I think we can live with it. If we cozy up to Ato, to Arcasia, a little bit more, I think we can live with losing Val's land. Very well, I accept. That is excellent to hear. Our ministers will go over the details later. Now that we have gone this far and are willing to enter an alliance, there is another topic that I would like to bring up. As you know, Heldiland has been long contested between Agnolia and Valsland. Those warmongers want to take back the island. You know, the international community does not recognize our rightful claim to the island, including Sorland. What better act to cement our alliance than announcing to the world that Sorland recognizes Heldiland to be Agnolian territory? You're asking a little bit too much. It's a reasonable request, but I won't push too far on the matter. We have achieved enough for today. Well then, he stood up from his chair. We must continue the official program. As you know, we will pay a visit to our founder's grave for another ceremony. Afterwards, we will move to the state dinner. After you. As soon as we left the office, I briefed Simon and David on the outcome of the meeting. The rest of our state trip was full of fake smiles, handshakes, incredibly long ceremonies, and even longer meetings between our ministers and their counterparts. When we came to the end of the trip, the way back was mostly silent. I couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief when we touched down in Holsword. It was time to discuss the good news. Well, hopefully this will be good for Swordland. But that is going to have to be it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. As always, I have been Pope. Please do remember to like, comment, and indeed subscribe. I will see you all next time.